and them family. Tell me, are you ready?
Good night, St. Augustine. Good night, Chaguanas East. Good night, Tunapuna. Good night, St. Joseph. Good night, Trinidad, and good night to all in Tobago who are listening or viewing this broadcast. Let me take the opportunity to recognize the chairman, Mr. Franklin Khan, and other officers of the People's National Movement. I must, of course, recognize my fellow Tobagonian, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. But I want to tell you that I'm not recognizing him tonight simply because he's a fellow Tobagonian. If that was all, I wouldn't be here. I am recognizing him because he's a Trinidad and Tobago man of integrity, of honor, of resilience, and of courage. A true Tobago man. A true Trinidad and Tobago man. The only person, man, woman, or child who should be carrying the mantle of Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm proud to be associated with him. I want to, of course, recognize and pay tribute to this massive crowd gathered here at the car park. And I want to tell you that I bring greetings and good news from Tobago. And the first piece of good news is that Tobago gone clear. In fact, anybody who knows me will know that I am a very conservative individual. But I'm telling Dr. Rowley this evening that come election night, when he has counted 19 seats in Tobago, let him not even call me in Trinidad. When he has counted 19 seats in Trinidad, let him not even call me in Tobago. Just take out his suit, shine his shoes, tell the wife, sweetheart, start packing, we changing residence. And I am also bringing some more good news from Tobago, because we're sending to join the team two powerful, articulate, committed young women with a track record of service. They have served Tobago well, they have served Trinidad and Tobago well, and they will continue to serve with the PNM in government as we try to rescue Trinidad and Tobago from the morass that it is in at this point in time. And we in Tobago are happy to send these two young women because it is symbolic. It signals what the PNM has been all about over all these decades, that the People's National Movement has always supported the advancement and the development of women. And when women and young people are ready, we utilize them in any position for which they're suitable. And in that context, Tobago is very happy to send to you Shanfa Kojo from Tobago West and Ayana Webster Roy from Tobago East. But brothers and sisters, the troubling news is that in Tobago, as in Trinidad, there are so many persons who have still not got the messages that are coming from both sides. And, you know, sometime around election time, with all the noise and all the glitz and all the public relations spin, people sometimes get confused. And they make choices in the heat of the moment. And in many cases, those choices are flawed. We cannot afford to make that mistake in 2050. I'm saying to you all, brothers and sisters, that the stakes are too high. The consequences of making a wrong decision are too devastating for us to make that mistake. In fact, in Tobago, we have added to the slogan, let's do this. We say in Tobago, let's do this in defense of island and country. And that is what this election is all about. Defending Tobago and defending Trinidad and Tobago. And I say to us here in St. Augustine on September the 7th, let's do this in defense of island and country. Because you see, there's something fundamentally flawed as to what is happening in this country. And Gypsy sang a lot of very relevant tunes. And not Nimakaran, not Bishop is Sinking. He sang a tune called Somebody Thieving the Soul of the Nation. And this is in effect a battle for the soul of this nation. And in that context, I am saying that we cannot afford to make mistakes. But sometimes we forget. And therefore, I want to put before you what I call the 515 model. And the 515 model is very simple. It is that you have 5 years to experience, 5 years to evaluate the performance of a government and a people. You have 1 minute in the election booth, or the polling booth, to make a decision. And you have a further 5 years to live with that decision that you've made in 1 minute. So how do you treat with that 515 model to ensure you make the right decision? We are fortunate in 2015 that we do in fact have before us information that encapsulate these 5-year periods so that it makes it easier for us to make the decision. I came across a publication, and I am happy that somebody took the time to do this. It's called Reasons to Remember of Lies, Deceptions, Blunders, and Missteps. And brothers and sisters, there are over 300 blunders and missteps that in effect encapsulate the performance of the UNC over the past 5 years. There's some people in Tobago who call it the bad book, but I ain't going there. I am calling it the book of shame. This is the book of shame. And anybody who reads this book, anybody who goes through all those missteps and misdeeds and blunders and atrocities will recognize what we have been experiencing, what we have endured for the past 5 years. Because they were actually operating in a scenario where one blunder, one misstep, one atrocity sometimes obliterated the one that came before, and we tended to forget. So we have on one hand the book of shame. And then I read the PNM manifesto, and I recognized that to balance the book of shame, we had a book of hope. A book that signaled to us in Trinidad and in Tobago that regardless of the depths to which we have fallen, there is hope that we can rise again under a good party, a good leader, and a good team. And what I like about the manifesto, brothers and sisters, is that this manifesto is based on a very simple but profound principle. And it is that the best way to take care of people is to facilitate them in taking care of themselves and the country. And therefore, when I saw that this manifesto will in effect put money in the hands of the people, so that when they spend the money in the economy, it will benefit the people, instead of putting money into the hands of a few, so that they can send it away to banks in the United States and foreign countries, I said, yes, we're on the right track. When we talk about a situation where this thing was well researched, and I'll tell you something, this PNM manifesto is not any fly-by-night manifesto. Because one of the things for which I must compliment the People's National Movement and the political leader is that we did not spend 5 years in opposition moping. We spent 5 years in opposition planning and working. We spent 5 years in opposition preparing. So when we bring a manifesto, it is a manifesto that is as a result of consultation, extensive research, and of course more consultation, and then you have something that you can action. So that I am confident that we have a situation where Dr. Keith Rowley and his team will not only have the intent, they will have the instrument to ensure that we're able to rescue this island and this country. Because I say to you, brothers and sisters, there are challenging times ahead, and we got to face that. When we get in to government on the 8th of September, we get into government in a scenario where this country is likely to be in serious crisis. All of us seen what is going on. Oil prices have plummeted. The stock market is in a tailspin. China's economy is in trouble. And finally, and that is the most serious signal of all, the Mamagai finance minister finally admitted to us that we are in trouble and that the budget and figures might have to be adjusted. When you get Larry Hawaii to say something like that, brothers and sisters, this country in real trouble. It means, therefore, that if we are to take this country out of the free fall that is in, because that is one of the most frightening things about it all. While the country is facing this economic crisis, the people who are in charge of the economy are doing nothing to reverse the situation. This country is in free fall. And therefore, you need somebody with the courage, with the resilience, with the vision, and of course with the instrument to ensure that we rescue Trinidad and Tobago. Because we are not only teetering on the edge of a precipice now, we already start to fall. And therefore, you need a strong leader. No one working day week leader can pull us back from this. No individuals whose credibility is shot can take us out of this. You need somebody with clean hands, a pure heart, and in addition to that, a courageous spirit in order to take us through this particular period. You need a leader with tenacity. And I say to us, therefore, that when I think back of the travails which Dr. Rowley had to endure, I tell myself that it had to be so, because he was being prepared in those times for a time like this. So I say to you, brothers and sisters, that one of the things that we have to understand and we have to recognize, and I say this in every forum, that we cannot allow ourselves to be carried away only by the fact that we're able to bring out so many people. We have to start sending the message in every way possible to those of us or those among us who are still believing that they can stay away, who are still believing that this is my fight, who are still believing that they're either too bright or they're too sophisticated to get involved in what they consider to be the hurly-burly of politics. I am saying to us, brothers and sisters, that you have got to tell them that this is not just an election about Dr. Rowley as leader. We know he's the best leader. This is not just an election about the People's National Movement as a party. We know that it's the most suitable party. This is not an election just about the carefully selected team. People have to understand this is a survival election. This is an election that transcends politics. This is an election where, as I indicated, the soul of the nation, the welfare of the people of this nation, the future of our children, our heritage, all are at stake. And therefore, it doesn't matter whether you are long-time PNM, just come PNM, used to be UNC PNM. It doesn't even matter whether you're PNM at all, because the issues of this election are not just about PNM and not just about politics. It's a survival issue. And it is in that context that I want all of us to recognize our responsibility to go out in the highways and byways and preach the message. Because I listen to Dr. Rowley every night when I'm not speaking myself. And what I hear from him are messages emanating from him every single night. And those messages are not just to listen to and to cheer on. They are messages that he is giving you so that you can carry it to people. If every single person here is able to convince one other person between now and September the 7th, we sweep this election. And I am saying, therefore, that this meeting should not just be about the message. This meeting should be about recruiting messengers. And each of you should go out there considering yourself a messenger, considering yourself a crusader, because this is a survival battle, and I want to reiterate that. You know, sometimes I used to be, but I suppose I still am, a historian. And when you look at the history of countries, developing countries and developed countries, what you recognize is that there comes a time in the history of those countries that you call big decision time. And when you big decision time comes and you do not make the right decision, big things happen. Big negative things happen. But when you make the right decision, you are remembered. History remembers you. History recognizes that when faced with the challenge, when faced with the decision that would rescue a nation, you did so. Because we are, in fact, at war. You have to understand that. We are at war against corruption. We are at war against nepotism. We are at war against discrimination. We are at war against the most vicious band of bandits that has ever governed any country in any part of the world. And therefore, when you are at war, you have to put on your armor. You have to take up your weapons. You have to recruit soldiers. It is only then that you can be certain that you can go into battle and win. And that's the reality. So I am happy that you all are here. I am happy that you've come out in your thousands. But the people here alone can't win no election. There are not enough people from St. Augustine, from Tunapuna, from Caroni East, from Chaguanas here to win election on September the 7th. So each of you has work to do. Edmund Ford alone can't do it. The representatives from Chaguanas East and St. Augustine, they all sing, and they alone can't do it. It's one man. But each of us here has a responsibility. And I'm saying to us, therefore, brothers and sisters, that I see this election as not primarily a test of Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her team. As far as I'm concerned, Kamala Persad-Bissessar have already been tested and failed miserably. This is a test of we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. This is a test of our character and our will. And in the final analysis, the region and the world will not judge Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her team on September 8th. They will judge the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Because we have the evidence. We cannot have the excuse that we had in 2010, because all the evidence is there before us. We have the book of shame. We have the book of hope. We have the choice. And if you choose the book of shame or do not choose at all, then it is you to blame. So as far as I'm concerned, I really gone past those people. Because they themselves are sending the signals. Look at what is happening to the PNM ship. Not only Gypsy jump off or you get pushed off. Dave Passad jump off. They jump off the UNC ship. Gypsy jump off the UNC ship. Dave Passad jump off the UNC ship. Jack Warner jump off long time and punching hole in the ship. And the ship sinking. And we have to ask ourselves why. Because these people were on the ship. They know the crew, they know the captain, and they live in the ship. And I'm saying, brothers and sisters, that people do not only run to the PNM, they run away from the UNC. And I tell you all, one of the tunes we should always be playing in our political meeting. You remember Francine? I'm from old school. Dog does run away. Cat does run away. Even fowl does run away. When man say woman teaching them back. What happened to you? You could run away too. And I'm saying, brothers and sisters, I am saying, brothers and sisters, that this has to be runaway time because we have been treated badly. And the people who have been treated badly are not just the people who are here, are not just the people who are red. The people who have been treated badly are all the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, except those few who ate from the UNC trough. And that is the reality. I am saying to us, therefore, brothers and sisters, that I see this as an opportunity. I see this as a responsibility. And not just a responsibility for Dr. Keith Rowley, not just a responsibility for the candidates. It is a responsibility for all of us to rescue this country, for all of us to ensure that we send a signal to the region and the world that we are people who abhor the kind of viciousness and the kind of corruption, and that we are willing to embrace decency and good governance once and for all. And I say to you, brothers and sisters, that I stand here with confidence because one of the reasons why I have been so successful in politics is that I am a firm believer that the vast majority of people in Tobago and in Trinidad are decent-minded people who want to see the right thing. I have a late friend. His credo was very simple. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And I'm saying I believe that deep down all of us ascribe to that credo, that right is right and wrong is wrong. And what transpired in this country over the past 5 years is wrong, and we have a responsibility to right that wrong. I'm saying to us, therefore, brothers and sisters, that we in the People's National Movement are leading the charge, but we cannot do it alone. We have to go out there and ensure that we tell the rest of Trinidad and Tobago about this survival battle. All of us, I listened to our leader, and sometimes I ask myself, where does he get the energy? Every single night out there, he whispered to me, I'm talking short tonight, but may I believe that? Because I know the passion of the man, and when he had things to say, time no matter. But I have to give him as much time as possible. So I have to leave the stage now. But I want, as I leave, to reiterate the fact that the same battle that you are fighting in Tobago, we are fighting in Trinidad. I'm fine, but we are fighting in Trinidad, we are fighting in Tobago. We're well ahead, but I tell my people in Tobago that this is a winning time. This is deposit-taking time. And therefore, we are focused in Tobago in ensuring that we allow all the candidates opposed to the People's National Movement to make their relevant contributions to the treasury of this country. And I think we're going to succeed. So we're giving you $20,000, Dr. Orville. I know things will be tight. So you have $20,000 from Tobago West, $25,000 from Tobago East to start the recovery process. I am very happy that for this opportunity to interface with you. I'm going to take some of this energy and this excitement back. And I'm going to be very clear that the same kind of passion that this election has generated in Tobago, it has generated that passion in Trinidad. And therefore, when the time comes, and all of us would have done the work that we are supposed to do, because brothers and sisters, you can't just talk the talk. You can't just come to meeting. You can't just walk the walk. You got to walk the work. And therefore, what I want to see you all doing from now till September the 7th is to work the work. And if we work the work well enough, I say to you, brothers and sisters, that we will be rewarded on September the 7th. And Trinidad and Tobago will be rewarded after September the 7th. And when we are certain that we have worked the work and that we have been successful, and as I told Dr. Worley, when you count 19 seats in Trinidad, don't wait. Start the celebration right away because Tobago going to play. And when you have won your 19 seats in Trinidad, all of us, because we're going to be peeping across too. When we see you reach 19, we're pushing up our hand. And when we know that we have crossed that magic number, there will be a figurative holding of hands across the waters. And all of us in Tobago and in Trinidad, with one loud, triumphant voice, will say, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and it shall be. I thank you, and God bless you.
PNM family, tell me, are you ready?